If you could just write in the comments, that would be awesome. Okay. Yeah, we're live. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Oh my goodness. So Zoom is working fine. So that is good. So we'll get started. Thanks, guys, for joining us tonight in conversation with Sensei Christine Pullan, 8th Dan, and myself. Sensei Pullan, 45 years of karate, been there, done it, got the t-shirt, got the t-shirts.
Yeah.
So I think we'll start at the beginning, if that's okay. Why and when did you start karate?
When did I start? January 1975.
Wow.
So a good few years before I was born.
Well, 10 years before I was born.
So, yeah, a girl from school asked me to join Kung Fu about 6 months before that. I went along, just couldn't afford it. And then in the January, actually on the night that I joined, a friend just along the street knocked on the door and says, "Did you fancy joining karate?" And I kind of said, "Well, when?" Now, tonight. So
brilliant.
her brother was a yellow belt, which is how she knew about karate and everything. So I hadn't even seen it advertised. So yeah, I just went along and I've been there ever since.
Been there ever since. Kung Fu, I mean, at 1975, I would imagine that Kung Fu would have been the rage in terms of popular culture, grasshopper and all that type of stuff.
Yes. Yes. And I should never mention it because it was actually quoted in a KUGB article. Why did I join karate? Because I was a Kung Fu fan or something like that. And I just thought,
really?
Oh.
Can you remember any Kung Fu moves?
No, I never went. I only went and he just told you about it and told you the prices and how much it was going to cost you. So I never actually did any Kung Fu at all. So.
And you've never looked back since?
That's exactly right, yes. I'm glad I didn't because I heard bad things about it.
Right, okay. So 1975, doing karate. Were there many females or girls doing karate at that time?
At my club, if I can remember rightly, we probably had around about 30 in the club altogether, which was quite a big club for the time. And 1, 2, 4, maybe about 4. There was me and another girl my age, roughly, and 2 older ladies, because obviously I was only 13 or 12 or 13 at the time. So,
when did you start competition?
I think the first competition was a club competition, and probably around about a year after that, because I think I was a green belt.
Okay. And your pathway into competition, is it similar to like pathways now? You just go to the club, start to enjoy it, want to get a bit more interested, maybe then go to a first competition, that kind of thing?
Kind of, but we just got told.
Really? so it wasn't like optional, no? You were just going to competition.
Yeah, there was no option. And usually you were told maybe on the Tuesday and you were going on the Saturday.
Wow. So like 4 or 5 days notice and 4 or 5 days to practice.
Yeah. To the local, well, not just local, but any kind of up to nationals, really. The national championships was the only one we knew about because it was roughly the same time every year.
Yeah.
So after a while, you got to know when the competitions were coming around. So you were thinking there must be one coming up, but yeah.
Would you say karate came easy to you as you were starting out? Or did you have to really work at it?
Difficult question. But into a little bit of explanation on that is, if I look back now, I probably would say it came reasonably easy at the time, I would have said, no way, because from right at the beginning, I trained very hard. Even as a low grade, I used to compete against the people next to me. I used to have the lowest stance. I used to have the quickest steps or the fastest punch. So to me, I worked very, very hard for what I achieved. So it didn't, I seemed to be able to cope with and do it, but I still worked hard. I saw people sometimes come along and I used to think, you're not working hard, but they could do these lovely kicks and do you know what I mean? And I just think, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it's off-putting.
I think there's that thing, though. I mean, some people walk into class or a dojo, or you can see some people, and you're right, they can just pull a move, and then you look at them and think, wow, that's impressive. But if it's not backed up by the hard work element, then they're probably not going to go very far.
Well, I think that's exactly right. That's eventually what I saw as you go along. They come along and they pass a few grades and they do quite well, but they don't have any staying power. Because really, just doing it, you do need to put the effort in.
Yeah, you do. I think that's the will and skill thing that I believe in, and I think that's just true. It's like if you have the will, you can pretty much do anything as long as there's somebody there to give you that skill. But if you've got the skill and you roll out of bed and can do amazing moves and pull amazing shapes, if you don't have the will to keep that going, then you're probably not going to get very far, I think.
No, I would agree with you. Yeah, that's about right.
So rolling on a little bit, so I'm going to talk about your competition or ask about competition career. But I remember you telling me a story about how I think it was like you had to ask for females to be included in senior events and or female groups to be within those major events. At that point, it was just blokes. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, mainly with the kumite.
Yeah.
And we did it in the club because when I did the first competition, I must have been about 14. And we could fight, but we weren't really allowed to fight in some of the nationals and some of the bigger competitions round about. Kata, we could compete in kata.
Okay.
But some of the senior kata as well. Right. And we competed in boys and girls kata. And you were either under 16,
right,
or you were 16 and above.
So it was mixed.
It was mixed, and once you were 16 and above, some of them were male and female. It's like 16 and above, but some of them weren't. Some of them were mixed as well. Right. So first we had to try and get them apart and have ladies and men's, and then obviously we were then trying to fight for kumite after that.
Wow! If you look at events now, it's just there. Obviously, it just makes sense to have them split. Male groups, female groups, that type of thing. When you were having those, so you had to have those fights in order to get those groups. How was that at the time? Was it? I take it was quite a challenge, or you had to fight and make the case and be persistent, that kind of thing.
It was mainly the persistent thing.
Yeah.
And I suppose just trying to get more and more people on our side. So obviously it started off with maybe 3 or 4 females going to ask the people at the top of the organisation, who would just say, no, we can't have that. Or we'll think about it, but they never got back to us. And then I think we started to go around some of the bigger clubs who, again, had some like black belt ladies, because there wasn't any really high grades and things. So we couldn't even say, well, we're high grades. That kind of wasn't a thing either. And so we went around some of the clubs, got some more females on board, but we also got some of the instructors on board who was saying, yeah, it's a good idea. This is, and we got kind of referees on board, and then all of this eventually, the people at the top were coming back and saying, okay, we'll introduce it. And at first it was just for 16 and above. Even, and if you were under 16, you couldn't fight. The boys could, but the girls couldn't fight. And obviously, I was probably around about 16 at the time before it all got put through. So I was 16-ish when we could fight in competitions. And obviously, whether you wanted to fight or not, you just had to go and fight because you thought, well, I fought for the cause. But obviously, I did want to fight. And then, we just eventually got them to put girls into like 12 to 15-year-olds. And again, that was probably the group, 12 to 15-year-olds.
A lot has changed in the world.
Yes.
and martial arts and karate to some extent in that time. Do you think there's still room for improvement?
I think there is. And it's not, I would say not so much on the competition side, but I would say on the top level. Yeah. It's a bit like this, even in management, in industry, in government, that they don't have the women at the top level.
Yeah.
And I think karate is the same. If you look at different world bodies, even national bodies, they've got very few women kind of on the boards. And I think that's a step that they need to take next, really.
Yeah, I agree.
That includes WUGF.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's the same. It's the same across the piece. I think there are far too many men. That's what I think. And if you look at
you're frozen.
I'm frozen. Am I here now?
Yes, I think you're back. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there are far too many men, and that the balance of these committees and bodies and management, whether it's sport or whether it's business or whatever, should look like the world to which we live.
Yes.
Okay. Well, interesting. I think it's interesting in the sense that there'll be female athletes looking at this, and it wasn't always that way, and people had to fight hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes in general, men get to the top more, not because they're better or anything like that. I just think there's a lot of females, and because they're females, they take time out to have babies and families, and then they sometimes don't get back into it, or when they get back into it, they've lost like a year or more for looking after children. And to me, that's just part of life. You have a choice. Mm-hmm. And that's sometimes, I think, a female's choice.
Yeah.
So there's some of that. So I won't say it's all against men, but there's a bit of that as well.
I think it cuts across all sports as well. It's not, it's not just ours, but I think there is definite room for improvement, and I'm certainly banging that drum where I can.
Yes, I know you are.
Yes.
Good for you.
Thank you. You were part of the KUGB England team, a team which dominated English, UK, European and world karate for a long time. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you got involved in the squad, what the squad training was like, and was it easy or was it tough?
There's no word easy. Just to start off though, when I first joined the KUGB squad, all we had at the time, and you won't even know this, we had a GB squad.
Wow.
So we had a squad, and we selected from Scotland, Wales, England and Northern Ireland. Mm-hmm. And I would say, while it was the GB squad, there was probably two or three people that weren't England, but the majority were England.
Yeah.
And when I first joined, I think I was 16, 17, but at the time you couldn't go to internationals until you were 16.
Okay.
So you couldn't compete until you were 16 in international competitions. And And it was a bit daunting, a bit intimidating when you get a squad and there's people like Terry O'Neill, Bob Poynton, Steve Cattle. You've got Sandy Hopkins, and they just were everybody's seniors. And you just thought, oh no, this is... But you just, you had to get on with it and get hit and whatever happened. Then they created a junior squad, which was people of my age, so it was a bit better. But then when I reel the names off, and I think Frank Brennan, Ronnie Christopher, George Best, Randy Williams, just think, yeah. And it was just a case of you get battered. And you just... That was it. And actually, on the senior squad with Terry and Bob and Steve and them, it was a bit better, because actually, for all they came at you fast and didn't give you any leeway, they never hit you. But once you go on the junior squad and you're all on an even par because you're all about the same age, well, that was different. You just got whacked off everybody.
I still think, even from memory, when I used to compete, and even now as a coach, I still think there's an element of that. I think it's to do with age, experience, or lack of, and hormones and all kinds of different things. I think juniors is tough. It's tough. Yeah. And I think once you move into seniors, you've probably got that experience of what it's like to be hit, and to work in a smart way rather than just a heart kind of way.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes, and I think that's right, because as we became seniors, although we still fought hard, I think we stopped trying to hit each other as hard. So I think we just had that little bit more control when we became seniors. But you were just, when you went to squad, you just expected to get hit. I'll give you a little story.
Mm-hmm.
There was a
stories.
There was a new girl, and I can't actually remember her name, but a new girl came to squad, and you've got myself, Julie Nicholson, you've got Karen Finley, you've got Jane Naylor, all pretty handy. And we went, it gave us a rest, and we went in the change rooms, had a drink, come back out. I was second last, this new girl was last, and I went, what's the matter? And she went, she says, I punched Karen Finley in the face. And she was white. And she went, I think she's going to hit me back. And I looked at her and I went, of course she is. Get out there and get on with it. And that was it.
Yeah.
So, and she was fine after that.
Was she fine?
Yeah, well, she got hit, and then you've just got to carry on. But then you don't get deliberately hit after that.
Yeah.
But if somebody hit you, you hit them back. And you just, if you hit someone, you thought, I'm going to get hit back, bang, I've been hit. Okay, that's squits, we'll just move on. Yeah. And that was squad.
Do you think some of that stuff was a test, or was it just generally like that all the time? Or maybe a test if you were new to it?
Yeah, and you can put it like that. But from my point of view, I think what happens is the new people come in thinking they've got to be really aggressive and got to have a good go, which is when we're going to hit them back. So it wasn't us picking on them. It was just us saying, calm down, or we're going to whack you.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you think that squad was so successful for such a long period of time? Because you've named names there, and they are huge names in this art and the sport part of the art. Why do you think it was that squad did so well for such a long period of time?
I think it was because the people were coming afterwards. So you had the likes of Terry O'Neill, Bob Poynton, Steve Cattle, Billy Higgins, Bob Rhodes, and they were kind of our senior squad, and we were the juniors underneath them. Mm-hmm. And as you know, things thin out. And I think that's what's happened, that they were at their peak. We came underneath them, still as good as we're going to get. but then we kind of thin out under that. And I think that's just what's happened, that everything's like kind of watered down a bit more. And the other thing is, there's a lot more karate around. So there's lots more clubs, there's lots more organizations and things like that. So again, everywhere's, and the third thing about it is that because it's like watered down's the wrong word, but more spread out. You've now got a lot of people who were really good from different parts, and they're spreading it to different parts. So you tend not to get a whole team really in one club or one organization. You'll get the odd person coming from different places. And I think with the type of training that everybody does these days, and they focus more on competitions, that it's hard to like stay at the top. It's more of an up and down kind of thing. You don't normally win 5 and 6 times in a row. You might win 1 or 2 and come down. You might win again. I think it's that kind of thing. I just think there's kind of more competition these days.
I think that's right. On that squad, who were the main influences on you?
Frank Brennan, mainly. Elwyn Hall, if you can remember Elwyn, and Ronnie Christopher, for all he was our age, was kind of a bit like I'm going to call him a big brother figure, that he always kind of looked after us when we were away, as well as being such a good karateka. There was one guy who I thought did better kata than Frank Brennan, and I'm sure there'd be loads of people up in arms because I said that. Was a young lad called David Loftus, who trained with Billy Higgins, but I think when he was in his low 20s, so he might have been 21-ish, 22, he stopped karate, so he actually didn't reach his potential, I would have said.
Those squad sessions were taken by Sensei Sherry and Sensei Noida, is that right?
That's right. When we just had squad sessions where we did like 2 hours kumite, 2 hours kata, Sensei Noida would take everyone for kumite, and then usually Andy Sherry would take a group at a time at the side to do kata. And sometimes the kumite would get, while the kumite people got a rest, and don't forget I'm doing the kumite. And then he'd say, right, go and have 5 minutes rest or a couple of minutes. Andy would say, but I'll have the kata people now.
Right.
So actually...
So there's no rest for you.
There was no rest for that. So I was glad when they changed it and had a kumite squad and a kata squad. That was much better.
You were what is now rare, I think, in terms of a competitor who did kata and kumite.
Yes.
Now it's far more common, and to some extent I understand it, because the standard, I think, is very, very high. And you have to focus on one or the other. But at the time, and I'm sure at the time there was people who just did one. So how did you find it trying to square off both of those in your head, find the right time to concentrate on both? Did you feel that concentrating on both led to maybe not being as good in one or the other, or that kind of thing?
I've got to say occasionally, and I think I was just brought up in an era where you did both. Like I said, I didn't have the choice to go into competitions. I was told what I was entering and which competition I was going to and what I was entering in and what I would do. So I was kind of brought up in that kind of era where you got told what to do and you just did it. And there's one, Sean Roberts, who only did kata and seemed to get away with it.
I think he's in Hawaii now.
He is, yes. Yes, that's right. And we had Karen Finley, who tried her best just to do kumite. Now, imagine you're at the Europeans, all you've practiced is your kumite. And then on the Friday, and the kata's on the Saturday, Andy Sherry says to you, oh, by the way, Karen, nudged her, I've entered you in the kata. She, she burst out laughing, thinking he was joking.
Right.
He wasn't.
Right.
So, yeah, she had to enter the kata.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think was the instructors in the day. They just expected you to enter both.
Yeah. I think at Kanzen, what we do is we tell them they're doing both, because whether they're good at one or the other, now this is up to an age about 16, 17, and we're at that point now where we have to look at our athletes and see what it is they want to do. But I still think it's good up to that age to enter both.
Yes,
because
I think so.
It's just, even if your training time is spent on one, it's still good to get on the mat, I think, and it's just building up experience.
Well, I think the other thing is it's about building up your experience and choosing from being an informed decision.
Yeah.
And if you only do one through being a child, you don't know what the other one's like. Yeah. So I think you're right. It's they don't just give you one subject at school because you're going to be good at that and you're going to do it for A level. Yeah. It doesn't happen like that, does it?
Well, and to all junior athletes that are watching, and there's quite a lot of them, it's also very good to pick one or the other when you are of an age, because I remember when Sensei Pullan at European Championships made me do individual junior kata, individual junior kumite, and team kata, team kumite, senior individual kata, senior individual kumite. There's about 6 or 7 categories over 2 days. It is quite intensive. It's quite intensive. Okay. I look at our art, karate, as something that I think I would like to think in my head that the more you put in, the more you get back out. Whether that's training, improvement, hard work, competition, whatever. You've been at this a long time and you've worked incredibly hard. What things do you think that art has given you?
Basically, in a nutshell, how to live. Because I started karate, as you know, when I was young, and I've been doing it now for an awful lot of years. And I just think, without karate in life, what would I be? And I can't picture anything. I can't, because it's been there and I've done it constantly for so long, and not just like once or twice a week, like every night, weekends. And I've just put all my life into karate. See, and it's hard to say, well, what have you got out of it? I've got my life out of it. I've got friends.
Yeah.
I've been to lots of places. I'm really good with like geography, not because I've looked at a map, because I've been. Right? Yeah, I like to look at a map and think, oh, where am I going? Oh, look, I'm going there. It's next to there. So yeah, that's just life in general. It teaches you respect. It gives you friends. It also gives you an insight on, in a way, trust. Gives you lots of life skills, because there's lots of strange people in karate. and me and you, Roy, might be two ourselves.
We might be.
We might be. But again, you've got to deal. It shows you. It teaches you really how to deal with people. Because
shall we start listing all the strange people we've met? No.
God, no. We haven't got another like few hours. Shall we start with the ones we already know? That's about that everybody else knows, and then work back.
No, I think that's true. I think I mentioned it last week with Oliver. It's the opportunity to meet people, and I think it's that thing about, I said last week, it's not my life, it's just how I choose to live my life, and you meet so many people. The idea that you and I and many other people can get dropped like a pin in one part of the world and go into this massive sports hall and meet and know so many people from all across. It's quite special.
Yes, it's
and that's
quite
for training
difficult.
or competition or whatever.
I know sometimes on the odd occasion I've been a little bit late to competitions, as you might remember. And as I come in the front door, not even into the dojo or the hall where they're having it, I come in the door of the sports centre late, thinking I've got to get to the speakers table to tell them I'm here so I can get into my refereeing. And it takes me 10 or 15 minutes because people have stopped to say, hello, hello, and I'm thinking I'm in a hurry. So if anybody's watching and I just say hello and run, that's why I'm usually late.
What advice would you give to your younger self? That's a difficult question, maybe.
Well, it is. Probably the only thing that I regret just a little bit is in my early 20s, I took a year out, or maybe a little bit more than a year out from competing.
Right.
And when I look back, I did it because I thought I just need a rest. I was beginning just to think, oh, I'm going to a competition. Oh, here's another one coming along. So I thought, right, I'm going to have a rest. And it worked because after that rest, I won quite a few competitions and I won the World Championships after that break. So it kind of worked. But then I look back and I think, but I might have been better if I hadn't taken that year out. I'll never know that.
Yeah.
So, no, I think the majority, I try my best not to have regrets.
Yeah.
If you find something's gone wrong, you just look for the best in it and think, well, I've learned from that and move on. So I do try to not have any regrets. So I can't really look back and say what I would have done better, because what I did, I thought I did well. Simple as that.
That's a good way to live, I think. That's a good way to live. So you were KUGB Scotland squad coach for 8 years. 8 years, I think. And you were a squad coach of many, many Scottish competitors, including Sensei Peter Stanton, who is watching tonight. Was he a hard-working squad member?
He was, yes.
Hey.
He was. Yes.
Good.
Came along and the majority of the time he knew the katas I was teaching, unlike most of the others.
Not me, though, not me.
No. Well, because Peter had taught you some as well. But I think probably quite a few differences. And I think I was a bit of a shock when I first came to the squad. The story was that I came to teach the Scottish squad kata, only kata, not kumite. And after the first squad lesson I did, just kata, Gordon Matthews said to me, no, that doesn't work. You've got to do both. I thought when he said that doesn't work, I thought he meant me kata session. So I thought, oh, well, I'm out on my ear after my first lesson. And then he just made me do both after that. So I did kata and kumite. But I just think the way I did kata and the way I kind of prepared people to do kata for competition, and just the way I do now, really, and the way I make them move and concentrate on kata was a bit of a shock to most of them. Because I think most of them, when I came along, were kumite competitors. Big, hard lads, as you know. Well, you can guess who the ones are in general.
Yes, absolutely. I joined that as a teenager, and was I a good squad member?
Well,
I'm taking my life in my hands here, guys.
Well, probably better than you are now.
In what way?
Well, when you were younger, I could slap you around the head, couldn't I?
That's right. Can't do that now.
Well, I can when you're just in your office, but not on the dojo.
Yes. Well, to be okay. I can take that. I can take that. I mean, I think I was thinking about this earlier on, and I think there are my memories of being on the squad with you as our squad coach. I was thinking about it. I was thinking I have this thing in the front of my mind that it was very, very tough, very aggressive in a controlled way, and a real
Not always.
not always in the controlled way, and a real it was really, really tough. Now, in the front of my mind, that's what that looks and feels like. But when you peel it back and think back, you as a coach, I think your basic expectation, it was pretty reasonable. It was you turn up, you try hard, you be organized, and it's like the simple things that you asked us to do. Yeah. What then that bred was a culture where we all wanted to win. So it wasn't necessarily that you were super aggressive or tough. You created a culture and an environment that we all wanted to win and beat each other, which then made it really, really tough.
Yes, that's right. Yes. And yeah, that's what I used to say. That, like, even when we were doing drills, so one's coming at you, the other one's blocking, countering, it's like, you are not just putting your hand out. You have to hit that person. Don't let them block. You are going to score your point. You're not there to put your hands out. And yeah, and every time we were doing any drills, I would say, you have to be the winner, not the one countering, whichever one wins, but you both have to try to win. And I would still teach that now.
Yeah.
In a controlled manner.
But I remember little things like, if somebody would take a knock, get down, and you would say, well, if you can't finish the class, then leave.
Yes.
Now, on face value, that might seem really rough, but actually, that's a fair point to make. Why are you still here if you can't finish the session?
Yeah.
Like, if you're injured, get home, get to the hospital, So I think, like, as I said, in the front of my mind, it would seem like, as I see it, it's really, really tough. But actually, the minimum expectation and things you would ask of anybody on that squad were pretty fair, straightforward, and actually made sense. And I think once you get over that thing of, oh, I can't believe she said that type of thing, no, all you're asking us to do is just pretty straightforward. Want to win, want to score, want to be the best that you can be. That's it. The main things in terms of giving feedback or direct feedback for after a match or after a performance at an event that I try and give now is similar to what we used to get from you. It's not heavy. It's not loud. It didn't need to be.
No.
It would be, what happened there? Or that didn't go so well. Now, to a junior at the time, that would be like somebody chopping your legs off and driving something right through your heart. I think that's a measure of the kind of coach-athlete thing. If you're on that level, I see coaches at the side of the mat going, and really loud, oh, that's terrible, I wasn't so good, and all that kind of stuff. I think a good coach doesn't have to do that. If that person has went out and maybe gave it their all in terms of heart, but messed it up in some other way, you can just kind of turn around and say to them, well, that wasn't very good. And that's it. That's the point made. You can have the inquest and inquiry afterwards, but yeah, short and to the point, because they know.
Yeah. Yes, well, they already know. I mean, the other thing is you've got to judge, again, people. Some people, even if I said to someone, oh, it wasn't very well, I'll see you later, they might burst out crying. Yeah. But I know they're going to, others would just say, okay, yes, I didn't do very well, but some would burst out crying. So some, especially younger ones, you've got to say something like, well, you did okay, you got on, you've tried, but we need to look at a few things.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it can be any of those things. So I think because we've got a lot of younger children competing.
Yeah, it depends on age.
Yeah. So that's, but if we're just talking about people 16, 18 and above, then
more experienced.
That's easier, really, because they have kind of the better attitude to be able to take it in and think about it themselves. or understand what you mean themselves.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to that getting the right culture thing. If you've got the right culture where people are giving their best, they're held to account to themselves and to you and that kind of thing, then that short type of thing is all that we actually need. And equally, if they're not pulling their weight, then they can get a hard time. But I suppose the other side is true as well. You know, if somebody wins and does well, I think it's really important not to go over the top with it. You know, you say, well done, but next year you've got to act like you're number two because these other athletes are coming for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes, I've met a few people like that who walk about as if they're the greatest thing, and I just think you're going to get whacked one day. You're going to lose one day, and you're going to be shocked by it. That's the point.
Yeah.
And they're the kind of people that lose and don't come back.
Yeah, because it's not going their way.
Yeah, and they're not used to, okay, you've done well, but we still have to work on it. They're not used. They get this pedestal and they just think they're above trying, really. So you're right. It's got to be even. It's got to even out, hasn't it?
Yeah. Staying humble, I think, is staying humble and working hard, whether you're winning or not.
Well, again, we were brought up like that. We've got Andy Sherry and we've got Frank Brennan, and they never jumped about and screamed and shouted when they won. They just walked off and shook hands, and that was it.
Yeah, yeah. You are our technical director, working alongside the coaches and instructors at Kanzen, and you're the head of Kanzen Karate England. So, you've got an integral role in the future of Kanzen. Where do you see Kanzen in 5 to 10 years' time?
All right, 5 to 10 years. But can I talk about your Kanzen Scotland first?
Yeah.
Because obviously it's 10 years advanced on Kanzen England. So
even then I thought maybe overarching side by side, but I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So I think in the next, I'm going to talk maybe 2-3 year, that kind of time period. So in the kind of moderate shortish time, just because of some of the people who you've got coming through and the age of some of your people coming through, I would envisage Kanzen to get bigger, and to do that, I think that obviously you've got Pete Stanton coming on, so it's going to evolve that way as well. But I would think some of maybe your instructors or even your young instructors to go and maybe get a venue of their own. I'm going to call it a venue and not a club, because it'll still be under yourself, Dan, me, whatever, overseeing it. But for them maybe to be the main instructor there with visits from the senior instructors, help gradings and things like that.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, why do you think, I mean, I think I know the answer, but why do you think that's important? Because I came through that, I trainee instructor at 16, teaching in a club at 18. Why do you think that is important for people to get their own venue and do their own thing with oversight and support? Why do you think that's the way to learn?
I think that's the next step. Otherwise, you lose people because you teach in the club, but you never feel in control. You never feel as if you've got any power and all of that. Where I think and you're not losing all the control, if they've got their own venue. And this is the type of thing we did at Sendai. So that we had Sendai that was Sunderland, and then I actually had Seaburn and Horton. So I had 2 branches of my own, where at the time only I taught there, but I was still teaching at the venue in Sunderland itself. So without breaking it up as much as I did there, then I probably could have done with a bit more support, which is why I'm saying under the one banner.
Yeah.
So although I was Seaburn Sendai and Houghton Sendai, I had the name attached. I actually didn't really get any help. It was, and I was asked to do one of them. Well, I was asked to do them both, actually. Eventually, they were both other people's, and I was asked to take over. But I felt very much like on my own.
I think it's that thing also about standing on your own 2 feet type of thing.
Yes.
But with support.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 23 years instructor development, and that goes for all of us as instructors.
Yes.
Yourself, myself, Sensei Dan,
I think so.
The instructors we have, and the junior instructors.
And I mean, I know I said young ones there, but there's nothing stopping any of your senior, I mean, older, I'm going to say older instructors, not senior, because it depends where they are on the level of grades. Some of your older ones, the instructors now or assistant instructors at the club, if they want their own venue with your support, then it could work for them as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of one avenue to grow the club.
Yeah, I think it's one thing being a child athlete and being successful, and it's something completely different being able to do it consistently as an adult.
Yes, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's much more difficult as an adult.
Yeah,
and I think it is. I was told when I was younger and I started teaching in the 2 different clubs or 2 different venues that I shouldn't be teaching because I was competing. You can't teach and compete. And all I can say to that is some people can't.
Yeah.
Some people can't. And I've seen it. I know people who have hardly taught a lesson because they've wanted to compete, and they've said, oh, I can't concentrate on teaching and other people when I've got my own thing to do, which is fair enough. It's if what you can cope with. Yeah.
I think it's a balance. It's also a mindset thing.
Yes.
I think it's like some people can and some people can't. And they need to just focus on their thing. I've said this to our younger athletes, the ones that need to become the kind of the headliners, if you like, and bring home medals in the next few years as they get to that older things. As an athlete, you have to be completely self-absorbed to a certain extent. You have to put yourself first. And that goes above, it's not just in the karate sense, it's just above everything else.
Yeah.
So maybe that kind of links in as well, that if you feel that you can't do both, you have to concentrate on one.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay, and Kanzen generally, and the next.
Yes, and it's obviously it helps people in the community, and obviously I'd like to see it continue in doing that. And some of that help is getting kids off the streets and into the dojo, and that's a big thing as well, just to show them that there's something else they could be doing with their life and something that's worthwhile doing. And obviously Kanzen needs to continue with that. And hopefully we're Kanzen England. Obviously, I feel like I've got to start again now because I've had like a few months and then this happens. So I feel as if I've got to start again. But I'm hopeful in the next 2 or 3 years that I'm going to bring some competitors along, and I'm maybe getting another venue up and running, and just some people into the club, just building the levels of the club up at the beginning. So,
but I think in terms of Kanzen England though as well, obviously you've moved, so that's been a thing. You've had to set up new clubs and all that kind of stuff. But I think the opportunities that you'll be providing in terms of people have access to you as a coach, instructor, you teach all over the place and that kind of thing as well. I think those will also open doors for you in terms of if people want the opportunities that you offer or that they get with being part of Kanzen England, then they'll join. And it's also, I suppose, about having the right people, because we have had clubs offering or asking if they can affiliate to Kanzen up here, and we have said no.
Yeah.
Because they're not the right fit, or they're not the right people that we want.
Yes. That's the other way to expand, but in some respect, you don't know what you're getting.
You don't know what you get.
Or maybe you do and you don't want them.
Okay. Well, I've really enjoyed it, Sensei, and I've survived because I was absolutely petrified because I didn't want any. I wanted all good stories, and there was no. You didn't tell any bad stories about me. We'll save them for another time.
Yeah, I had a funny story, just one.
Oh, can we leave it? We've done so well. Can we leave it?
Yeah.
Hold on.
It was a bit naughty.
Two can play this game.
The kids would like it though.
Two can play this game. two can play this game. So right. Well, listen. Thanks for joining in, everyone. We're going to end like we did last week with a quick fire round. Right, and
will there be bullets flying?
Sorry.
Will there be bullets flying? Do I have to dodge them?
Well, it's a quick fire round and it's pretty standard questions. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining in, and
thank you, everyone.
Hopefully that's given you an insight into Sensei Pullan and all things Kanzen. Right, quick fire. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What did you have for lunch? It's quick fire.
Is it?
Yeah, quick fire. Come on. What did you have for lunch?
Porridge.
Favorite beverage?
Wine.
I thought it might be that. Where in the world would you most like to visit that you haven't already been to?
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Other than karate, what would be your dream job?
Oh God, teacher.
Teacher. Okay. Say something in Italian.
No. See.
Arrivederci. Favorite movie?
Oh, you ask horrible questions.
Do you watch movies? I've never discussed.
Not really.
Movies. Okay. Donald Trump or Donald Duck?
Oh, Donald Duck, obviously.
Absolutely. Stranded on an island, which two items would you want with you?
Some food and a hairdryer.
Okay. Favorite color?
Purple.
Coffee or coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Wine.
With biscuits.
With biscuits. Okay, we're almost there. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
I am a superpower.
Hey, nice. Morning person or night person?
Both.
TV show of choice at the moment?
Oh.
Mine is Killing Eve. Have you seen that?
No. Frost.
Frost. What, with Thingy?
Yeah, with Thingy.
Frost.
That's what I was watching before I came down here.
Last one. Which famous dead person would you like to meet?
Oh, yes, difficult questions, don't you?
Well, it's quick fire. Which famous dead person would you most like to meet? Or any famous dead person that you would like to meet?
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela. That's a good answer. Sensei Christine Pullan, it's been a pleasure.
That bit wasn't.
That bit wasn't?
No.
Okay, I'll give you one more. Favourite kata?
Goju-Shodai.
Goju-Shodai. Okay, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. And guys that are tuning in, thank you again for tuning in. We've got a full class schedule next week, over 32 classes, I think, and kicking off with Sensei Christine tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock on Zoom and Facebook Live. So thanks very much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. And Sensei, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.